Top 5 IP myths that could cost you your whole business. Myth number 1, I mailed it to myself, so it's totally fine, it's protected. So this myth stems from copyright law, where they say, I wrote a script, I wrote a book, I created some work of authorship, and I wanna make sure that the date in which I created it is sort of set in stone. And so I'm gonna put it in an envelope, put a stamp on it, have it stamped by the post office, and the date on that postmark on the envelope, that's therefore proof that that's the date in which I created the work. Now, here's the problem, is that actually has no grounds in copyright law whatsoever. The real way to protect a work of authorship is to, in fact, register it with the US Copyright Office. Now, it's not required. You automatically get a copyright in a work of authorship just by virtue of creating it. But registration is really the best way to make sure that you've supplanted your rights in the copyrighted work. Myth number 2. I see this often online. I use 10 seconds of some piece of music or a clip without permission, but because it's so short, it's okay, right? That's just flat out wrong. Simply using a shorter segment of someone else's copyrighted work doesn't necessarily avoid copyright infringement. The nature of most of those situations is that any fragment of that, regardless of the length of time, whether it's copying from a book or copying from a recorded, musical work, because I didn't copy the whole thing, that doesn't mean anything. You potentially run into copyright infringement right off the bat by doing so. So watch out for that one. This happens a lot. Always seek permission or use royalty-free music clips, or just create your own content. So myth number 3, if it's online, it's free to use. We see this one all the time. You can Google any type of image there is out there and basically find it. Folks will say, well, if I can find it on Google, then, and I see other people using it, then absolutely that should mean that it's free to use. Simply false. Most images out there, most pictures, they're owned by somebody. If you take a photo, you create a piece of work, you create some art, the creator, the photographer, that's the original owner of that work, and they automatically have a copyright. So simply because you found something online, it almost never means that it's free to use. So when in doubt, create your own content or just hire professionals to do it themselves. If you do so, keep in mind that the intellectual property that they create, you need to have agreements that it's owned by you. Myth number 4, parody automatically counts as fair use, so I'm okay. The way to think about parody is it's basically somebody using someone else's work and commenting on it. It's a satire. Then they think, well, as long as I'm giving commentary, as long as it's a parody of that original work, I can use that original work under the fair use doctrine, and I'm totally fine. The problem with that is that the exception for parody when it comes to fair use and using someone else's work is very narrow in scope. There is an analysis that the courts do to determine whether or not there's actual parody. And in most cases, just simply having commentary on things doesn't necessarily skirt the issues of copyright infringement. Because let's be clear here, if you're using someone else's work, you're potentially doing copyright infringement. It's a very narrow doctrine. I would not suggest you rely on that alone, and you don't want to have to go to court to have that proven. So if you're making a parody, avoid using more of the work than is necessary. In this instance, less is more. Myth number 5, I have a patent. That means I can practice my invention freely. I see this all the time. A company, a person, a startup, they invent something, they get a patent on it, and they say, I am totally fine now. I'm free to practice my patent, free to sell a product, free to market it. The problem is that you have the right to stop others from making, using, selling, offering for sale. It doesn't necessarily give you the right to practice it yourself. This is counterintuitive, I get it. Patents are known as a negative right, which means they allow you to stop other people from doing it. It doesn't mean that you yourself are able to do it. So what does this mean if you have a patent of your own and you aren't sure whether or not there are third parties out there? It means that you should probably think about getting a freedom to operate search to make sure that your new product, your new design, whatever's going to be used by your end user that's covered by that patent, you're free to use it. That you've done a freedom to operate search to make sure that third parties aren't sort of lingering out there. Those are the top 5 intellectual property myths. Hopefully those save you some time and treasure down the road. For more intellectual property advice, catch us next time.